What is going on? It is Alex coming back at you with another video, and today we're going to be reviewing Eric Edelman's first mock draft post Senior Bowl. If you are new, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. You guys know how to do YouTube. We just breached 10K, so we're on the way to 15, if not 20 by the draft, which is going to be incredible. Let's get there. It can only happen if y'all do it. Below my face is my board. It is continuously changing. I was just in Mobile. That's why I actually look tan. That's first on the show. And below that is going to be all the great ways to get into the community and be able to go and join us and take advantage of our two sponsors. And that's UnderDog Fantasy as well as Olipop. As you can tell, I am slightly lagging myself. The Senior Bowl is ridiculous. We'll do a whole entire video on the truth behind the Senior Bowl and like the real experience of it, because it might be the single best place on planet Earth. And I never thought in a billion years that Mobile, Alabama would be that. So let's just get into this. No mock to mock, then what? As you can tell from my voice, I've already lost it from using it quite a bit over the past couple of days. So we're going to work through this together and have a good time. Starting off with the number one overall selection. This is a live reaction. We got the Bears going Caleb Williams. It's pretty much set in stone at this point, in my opinion. Justin Fields, great quarterback, but he just doesn't, it's not fiscally responsible. It's not. The amount of draft capital the Bears would get would be extraordinary, but personally, I think that the added value of Caleb Williams, because I do think he's a better prospect than Justin, who I did love, by the way, the added value of Caleb Williams for the reduction in price of, especially in the long run, and the fact that the Bears also have a pretty damn good roster that we just do not give enough appreciation for, to me gives enough of a reason to take your risk, take Caleb, and then trade Justin, because he's a good quarterback. Could garner a second, could garner a couple seconds. We'll see what happens, but I just think Caleb Williams really is spectacular. At pick 2, the Commanders go Drake Maye. Now that it's official, you guys are not getting Ben Johnson. Apologies, to rub some salt in the wound. I think Drake Maye, as spectacular as he is, I don't know how much this team can really maximize Drake Maye's talent with Dan Quinn at the helm. If Eric Bieniemy stays, which I'm not sure if he actually will, or if he sticks around in Washington, then there's a chance, because Eric's going to find a way to at least use Drake Maye's skill set and make the most of him. But it's really heavily dependent on whether Drake Maye is in the right situation, because the Commanders have the weapons. They just don't have the O-line. And I don't think that with Drake Maye, he's not very risk averse. He likes to lower the shoulder, but the arm talent's there. I don't think anybody on planet Earth disagrees that, the arm talent is there. Those high level plays are incredible. It's just, he's just not my guy, but he is now my QB3. Think about it that way. You guys will like it, but he's my QB3. But the top 3 QBs go in the first 3 picks. Jayden Daniels goes to the New England Patriots. Jayden is still my QB2. Big fan of any quarterback that can somehow, some way transition from being the least accurate quarterback with a plus or above 50% uncatchable throw rate and end up being someone who could throw to a pinpoint target who's running 22 miles per hour. Big fan of that. Needs to improve his middle field processing, but the Patriots would be in a good position. Pick number 4, the Arizona Cardinals go Marvin Harrison Jr., so it's a standard top 4. I do think the Patriots are a dark horse team for Marvin, but I actually overheard a conversation. I will not say who was saying it, but a very notable mock drafter ended up talking in confidence with a couple other people, saying that 3 or more teams have Malik Neighbors above Marvin Harrison Jr. Don't know how much validity that has, but the person who said it is very, very well connected. So we'll see what happens, especially at the combine when, Malik's going to run some crazy figures versus a really solid but not impeccable athlete in Marvin Harrison Jr. Pick number 5, Chargers go Brock. You look at Jim's whole entire career, he's had tight ends and linebackers. Funnily enough, the Chargers don't have tight ends or really linebackers at this point. So I could actually see the Chargers going Brock Bowers, and then maybe round 2 go Junior Colson. Maybe round 3. I don't know how. I'm still getting a good feel for what people think of Junior Colson, like the NFL. But I mean, I'm a big fan of taking him potentially even round 2, because he has a very, very unique build for this specific class at 6'3", 250. Not many guys who are in that range. Pick number 6, the Giants go Malik Neighbors. Just talked about it. He is on a couple teams' boards as the number 1 receiver, but that kind of just gives credence to how damn good he is and the fact that he will be probably gone by pick 6. So Giants would be probably the last team to pass on him. Amazing player, just super duper nifty. It's a route runner, but to be fair, I was standing next to Brian Table and we were watching offensive line, not the receivers. But maybe that's just because he already has his receiver. We'll see. Pick number 7, the Tennessee Titans go Joe Alt, spectacular offensive tackle. I know the Titans actually met Ramon Foster, who is their offensive line coach, offensive line scout. He was looking at the offensive tackles. It's no secret they're looking for offensive tackle help, but not the ones at the Senior Bowl. Or Joe Alt was not one at the Senior Bowl, but maybe similarly to what I just talked about with Brian Dable, maybe the Titans already know what the guy they're going to get, and they're looking for maybe another option down the board. I think that'd be very smart. But Joe Alt, great player. I think the Titans could, I'll just throw this into the mix. I think they could try to trade back and end up getting Tyler Guyton. Hot take, but let's just say it sounded like some really big positives in terms of the overall takeaway for Tyler Guyton, especially from a particular individual that I just talked about. Pick 8, the Falcons go Dallas Turner. Everybody and their mom is putting Dallas Turner to the Falcons. We'll see what happens with it. He's a great player. Obviously, my number 4 guy. I'm not going to complain about it. This team needs help. And this edge class is not incredible, but it's very top-heavy. And the top-heavy talent is still very, very good. Pick 9, the Bears go Rome Odunze. A lot of love for Rome Odunze in that community as well. He was a name that popped up. Not above Malik and Marvin, but he was, I think, solidified wide receiver 3. Rome is continuing to move up my board, so a big fan of that, 6'3", 210 plus, and the Bears could definitely use that nice compliment there to DJ Moore. New York Jets then go to Tali Fuaga. I keep calling Talise or Talise. It just depends. Every single person has a different pronunciation. The sad thing is, I literally shook his hand and talked to him. I got his phone number. That's between us. We're going to try to get him on the show. Great guy. Genuinely a great guy. I was sitting next to, while they were doing this, I actually have a video of me sitting on the bench immediately to the left of it. But yeah, Tali, right after this interview right here, ended up hanging out with us. And Alex, who's our director of short form media soon, so I'm very excited for that. Alex and I ended up talking and having a good time. So great player. One of my buddies from high school used to play with him there at Oregon State. So it's always nice to have a good insight into the great character of Tali Fuaga. Pick 11, we got the Vikings going Jared Verse. I mean, he's a spectacular talent. This team needs edge rushing help. This team needs D-line help. And there is some good defensive line depth in this class. Pick 12, the Broncos go Byron Murphy. Speaking of the talent, really pissed that Byron Murphy didn't end up coming to the Senior Bowl. Personally, I was just dying to watch him. But at the same time, I got to see Tavondre Sweat literally sit one of my favorite players in Bo Limmer on his ass. That was pretty entertaining. Maybe that wouldn't have been the rep that happened if Byron Murphy were in that mix. So let's just try to be optimistic. Pick 13, the Raiders go for another Bama right tackle in J.C. Latham. But I like J.C. more than Alex Leatherwood. I didn't like Alex Leatherwood, to be fair. J.C., he's been someone who I think is trending up. Still has a lot of room to grow, though. Raiders should be looking for offensive line. I've been hearing a lot of momentum for Raiders in offensive tackle, but Olu Fashanu still hasn't been taken. I'd prefer to take a risk on that rather than going with JC because I think both have similar amounts of room to grow if they're going to put Olu as a right tackle. And the ceiling, to me, is a bit higher for Olu. Speaking of Olu, he goes to the Saints here. So maybe Eric is a big fan of the Saints. I don't know him on a personal level at all. But Olu Fashanu is a spectacular talent. I still have him. I actually moved him down to pick spot 8, but, who really cares? All these tackles are phenomenal in this class. The Saints would be really blessed to get one. Pick number 15, the Colts go Terrion Arnold. A phenomenal corner, very, very balanced. Honestly, we've seen actually a regression from this cornerback class. Kalen King. I've been trying to stick my neck out for this guy. He had a really awful offseason. He had just had one primarily bad game this year versus Marvin Harrison Jr., which, it's Marvin Harrison Jr. We all know he was better than Kalen King, but this was different. He just got in his own head. And, this cornerback class still has some good dudes in it. But, when you lose somebody who could be a fringe one or even a round 2 guy, and he gets beat almost every single time, it is scary. But that's a conversation for another day. Terrion Arnold's super duper smart, great zone coverage ability. He's a good athlete as well. And, there's the ceiling's tremendous. And he plays in the slot as well. He can play on the boundary. You're just getting someone who is a plug and play player. Pick number 16, the Seattle Seahawks go Troy Fautanu. Another player I'm really pissed didn't end up playing at the Senior Bowl. So I'm going to hold a little bit of grudges because I did kind of want to see him on day one at the very minimum. Didn't happen. Seahawks definitely could be looking for that upgrade at left guard, and he's right down the road. So as much as I would probably say go defensive interior, maybe go an edge rusher, I can't blame him. I can't. Just do it. Pick 17. Jacksonville goes Leatu Latu. The GM literally said Josh Allen isn't going anywhere. So, I don't really understand that one. I don't really get the Latu's arm length. Oh, yeah, there. Okay. I didn't see the word isn't because of the screen glare. I was like, pause. Like, didn't he have sub 33? Latu's arms are actually pretty damn short. Very strong player, but he has short arms. And, he had a really solid week. It just really is down to medicals. Good size, needs to generate more power from the lower body. But, if he really had everything pieced together, he'd be the number 1 pick. Like Trevon Walker. There's some issues that would lay on to, but he's even moved up into my top 30. Not because he performed better than I expected, but because other people performed worse. Regardless, Cincinnati Bengals go Tyler Guyton. He's also moved up my board quite a bit. He's still extremely raw, and I don't think that's a big surprise. He just had a really good day one, and people got let down that he didn't continue acting like a top 10 pick. But I think he's gone by pick 20. That's a hot take, but it is what it is. Rams then go JJ McCarthy. I don't know if he's actually going to be drafted very highly. Jim ended up saying he might be the first quarterback off the board. That's just not a good way, in my opinion, for Jim to gain any form of credibility. Like, you're coming from college after being in the NFL. You went to college, did pretty damn, almost got fired, and then ended up doing a great job, and then came back to the NFL. And then now are saying that, there were already some form of questions. And for me, when you end up bringing up the fact that JJ McCarthy, who was honestly a subpar statistically quarterback, and, he has good movement skills, he's undersized, and his 2 wide receivers in the Shrine and Senior Bowl ended up being absolutely badass, and he couldn't make that work. I'm just saying, there's something that's off. I still think JJ is a top 64 player. He has the mobility, he has the arm strength, he does have the it factor. But there's something wrong when your receivers are doing really damn well against elevated talent and they didn't do jack with you. That doesn't scream first round pick to me. What screams first round pick is if you don't have a very good receiving core and you end up winning games because you're an absolute beast and you elevate your roster. There's something that is not being elevated there in Michigan, particularly by the quarterback. So I do think the Rams could be in the market for one. That's just my counter now to JJ in the first. Pick number 20, Steelers go Quinion Mitchell. Quinion solidified himself almost as a top 15 pick. But my only issue with Quinion is after that very famous rep, because, I was watching it, Roman Wilson, got the best advantage of Quinion when he tripped, right? Quinion tripped, he was off balance. Roman did an unbelievable one-hand catch as well. So shout out to Roman Wilson. Giving him a lot of love this episode because we got to give some love to some people who we don't usually. My only issue with Quinion, after that rep, I love players that get mad at themselves because that's just some extra motivation. They're pissed off at themselves. That means they bounce back. Quinion looked defeated. His head drooped. It's not going to be in the clips that y'all see. But I watched how he reacted to losing. And it wasn't good. It was almost sad. And I felt bad for the guy. He holds himself to a really high standard, but it's the way people handle losses that I maybe am overanalyzing this situation. But it's my one issue I had with Quinion is that he didn't handle losses well at all. He just mentally didn't handle losses well. The losses are losses. They happen, but he there's something about the way he walked back to the line of scrimmage or the sideline that really bothered me. But does that mean I would be mad at him for being a Steeler? Fuck no. He was a really good corner, and he knows how to use physicality very well, just like Joey Porter Jr. I want it to be Ennis Rakestraw, but that's another guy who decided to dip because he wanted a little bit of a surgery. It is what it is. But going corner is a solid move for the Steelers. Center as well, another opportunity. Same thing with right tackle. Jackson Powers-Johnson goes to Miami. He did a phenomenal job this week, so power to him. No pun intended, but I guess if you like that, you can say pun is intended. Pick 22, the Eagles go Brian Thomas Jr. Not going to happen. I'm going to be straight up. I think this might be either a trade back and then ends up being Ladd McConkey, or it's Ladd McConkey. Met with Ladd twice during the Senior Bowl, the Eagles did, and I actually got a pick with Ladd, so that's pretty cool. My buddy is a huge fan of Ladd McConkey, so I had to get one, and just he's a really, really damn good dude. This is on the third day of the Senior Bowl practice, too. Saw Brian Kelly walking across the field. That it was completely dead. I don't know who was doing the third day, but, like, can someone crank up the music? Like, dude, it was just dead there, and the music was, like, vibing on day 1 and 2. Regardless, pick number 23, Texans go Nate Wiggins. Great corner, just didn't really, like, there's not a lot of hype on him right now because there was, like, Quinyon Mitchell who did really damn well, and, there's just a little bit more of a focus on the Senior Bowl. Nate Wiggins still phenomenal in terms of his intellect. He's my number 22 player now on my board. Pick number 24, Dallas Cowboys go Marius Mims. At this point, it's very, very smart because his talent is through the roof. I doubt that he's going to be here because he has multiple years of eligibility and then decides to come out when he didn't have a full year. Marcus Whitman jokingly said, what if he's just bad and just wants to cover it up? And then he took it back and was joking because he thought it was very, very good. He's definitely a first-round tackle, but I think Amarius would be a very smart move if he's on the board for the Cowboys, just to train him up to be that left tackle. Pick 25, the Packers go Cooper DeJean. I do this pick all the time myself. Makes total sense. You can use him pretty much everywhere. And, I think the new DC is from Boston College as well. So he knows his shit when it comes to DBs. The Boston College corner that was there at the Senior Bowl was surprisingly very, very smart. Too skinny, in my opinion, to play most positions in the NFL at 6'2", I think sub 180. But, I would love to see what a great secondary mind in Jeff Hafley does with a DB like Cooper DeJean. Pick number 26, Buccaneers go Keon Coleman. 6'4", 215, built to be the Mike Evans replacement. Kind of just lines up. Pick number 27, the Cardinals go Braylon Trice, my number 5 player in the class. Big fan of him. Great size, great versatility. Just kind of wish that we could have seen him at the Senior Bowl. Pick number 28, the Buffalo Bills go Troy Franklin, Oregon wide receiver. He's a nice wide receiver, too. I think Ladd McConkey could potentially get in front of Troy Franklin because he's, I think 4 inches shorter technically than Troy, so they play different roles, but the exact same weight. I'm pretty sure both of them are like 187. So Ladd, I just want to see him in this draft because got to give that boy a shout out. But Troy Franklin would be still a very solid pick for the Bills. Lions go Ennis Rakestraw Jr., my number 9 or number 10 player in the class. Phenomenal athlete, like just one of those guys who's super duper smooth in general. It's apparent. Okay, I've never seen this information. So his medical evaluation. Okay, I forgot about that. That's the minute surgery he was talking about right here. I don't think one torn ACL and a little itty bitty groin injury. I don't think that's going to be a big issue, but his talent's through the roof. I think the Lions would be blessed to have Ennis Rakestraw. Pick 30, the Baltimore Ravens go Jerzon Newton. He's been slipping on a lot of mock drafts. It looks like some inside info is out on him, and maybe they're just not vibing with him. Don't know why he opted out of the Senior Bowl. That really irritates the hell out of me, but Connor Rogers and I talked about it a little bit. Maybe because he's posting so much, he just kind of knew. He was telegraphing the fact that he just wanted to do his own advertising, but the best advertising you can do is playing. So I don't get it. He has some really crazy high reps or crazy good reps, and he would have continued to do so at the Senior Bowl, in my opinion. Don't know what's up with that. Big riser and Darius Robinson. I'm pretty damn blessed to have randomly watched the majority of the secondary for Missouri by the time, and I actually ended up regrading Darius Robinson by the time of the Senior Bowl. Ended up giving him a shout out on Twitter before the Senior Bowl, and then now we got to see him. Yeah, I think he was voted the best player or else the best lineman at the Senior Bowl. We love that. He was an absolute freak. Ended up being 10 pounds lighter than it suggested, which I was saying he needs to be 10 pounds lighter. Ended up kicking ass. So great job for Darius Jones, and he has that versatility to be everywhere, maybe except nose tackle. Pick number 32, the Niners go Graham Barton, very versatile interior offensive lineman out of Duke, another guy who opted out of the Senior Bowl. So screw you, Graham. But, I honestly, I had a great time regardless. I don't know how much better of a time if Graham Barton ended up showing up I would have had. But great play regardless. Great move for the Niners. And then at that was pick 32. Wow, I just can't even believe it. I forgot about the fact that Chiefs and Niners were in the Super Bowl again. Speaking of that, is coming in 2 days. So hello. That's going to be the video. Thank you so much for watching, showing the support you always do. I'm actually going to get some rest now for the first time in a long time. See you on the far side.